Bearded dragons are one of the most popular pet reptiles, but that doesn't mean that they're right for everyone. So let's explore whether they are right for you. For starters, this is my bearded dragon named Kevlar. Kevlar is 3 years old and can live for 10 to 15 years if given the proper care, which is a long time to commit to, so make sure that they are the right animal for you before getting one. But because they do live such a long life, that means that you have lots of time to spend with them and create a better bond. Bearded dragons are highly social animals, and once they gain your trust, they will love to be held. I've even seen videos that people will give their bearded dragons a ramp to where they can leave their enclosure whenever they want, and they often come over to them and bond with them. Something to consider about these amazing animals is that you might see them when they're a little baby and think how tiny they are, but they won't last this size for very long. Bearded dragons will be full grown in approximately a year, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just something to consider if you only like them for how tiny they are. Continuing on with their size, because they do get approximately 2 feet long as an adult, that means that they will need lots of space. If you're not prepared to give these amazing creatures a minimum of a 120-gallon enclosure measuring 4 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, please consider another animal, because they do need all of this space to survive. They also don't move very fast, so they are great for small children. But all things considered, it's a great idea to still have parental supervision, because it doesn't mean these things can't happen, just means that they're very unlikely. Another great feature about bearded dragons, which is often overlooked, is that they're hypoallergenic, which means if you or a loved one suffers from allergies, that these are a strong alternative to something like a furry friend as a dog or a cat. When it comes to animals, bearded dragons are also a relatively inexpensive one, as most of them cost around $60, but can get way more expensive when you consider things like morphs. But you should also consider the cost of their enclosure into your overall argument. Did you know that bearded dragons are like chameleons and they can change their color on command? It's how they can show their attitudes. So if you see them where their beard turns black, that means that they're in a bad mood. But if their beard is a relatively normal color to their skin, then they're usually happy. To add on to that, bearded dragons also can change color to be able to regulate their heat and allow more or less so that they can regulate their metabolism. Bearded dragons also go through a phase known as brumation. This occurs in the late fall and is very similar to hibernation, where they will regulate their temperature, intake less food, and just sleep. They may appear lethargic, but it's nothing to worry about as it's a normal part of their life. During this time, you may notice that they don't eat as much. They might move around a little bit, but they will definitely be a lot less active. During this time, you need to make sure that you're still providing food, because they still might get hungry, it's just going to be less. So make sure that you're giving them the proper care during this time still. Back when I was in middle school, my science teacher had a bearded dragon, which then led me to eventually want my own, which hence where I got Kevlar, and led to my love for reptiles. Unfortunately, I can't tell you whether a bearded dragon is right for you, but I will always do my best to show how amazing these creatures really are. But of course, make sure to leave a comment whether you think they are amazing animals, or whether you don't. I'd like to know. And perhaps you've even had your own bearded dragon in the past, or still do. Make sure to let me know what your experience is, because I'm curious. Thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time.